Hi everyone, this is SNOOZE.T, a channel about UFOs, UAPs, bringing you news, stories and the background. My name is Alex and behind me is a beautiful Adriatic Sea off the coast of Croatia. Is mainstream science scared of UFOs? And I do not suggest that scientists are scared of flying saucers. What I mean is, are scientists afraid of the UFO subject because researching it would have a negative impact on their careers? And are there scientists who are not afraid to stick their necks out and research the subject no matter where it leads them? Let's find out. I will again post the links and resources to support my claims so everyone can make up his or her mind. The last thing I want is to add to the crazy pool of UFO misinformation. So if you think I am wrong, and I'm sure I don't get everything right, please let me know below in the comments. Okay, finally, let's get into it. I divide scientists into 6 groups in relation to the UFO subject. Group number 1, those who get into the subject with a moral obligation to explain the UFO nonsense away, but because they discover there is more to the subject than they thought, they, as true scientists and out of moral obligation, research the scientific truth. Group number 2, those who get into the subject to debunk the UFO nonsense, don't really do any meaningful research, and while betraying their scientific obligation, just carry on the pure non-scientific debunking while using often naive, scientifically unsupported claims. In other words, they're just saying whatever comes into their minds. Their reason for debunking may be fear of losing their belief system, meaning their faith, whatever it is, would collapse. They simply project their most inner fears through the subject. Group number 3, young scientists interested into the subject, not daring to do any official research, not only for the fear of ridicule, but also for fear of destroying their career in academia before it even started. Group number 4, established scientists who were agnostic about the subject, having no emotional bond to it, who by some external intervention, being asked for help or steered into it by someone, discover that there is some phenomena going on which was under their radar for many years, and they steer their research into this area. They are morally mature and strong individuals and pursue the subject despite ridicule, resistance, and in some cases persecution by their employers. Group number 5, established scientists who find out there is something more into the subject that meets their conditioned materialistic eye. Get into it, find something meaningful, then they get threatened and start to spread misinformation, probably out of fear, and for some reason do not shut up, damaging their humanity and the UFO subject in the process. And finally, group number 6, individual, brilliant scientists with or without sound academic background who were hired into deep government covert programs, had no real idea what they signed up for, and work in a very compartmentalized way on some absolutely crazy, i.e. extraterrestrial stuff. Spilling the beans to the public about their work would most likely mean dire personal and safety consequences for them and their families. Who are then the individuals from these groups? Some are almost household names, but most are unknown. J Hynek, scientist working initially for the US Air Force on the Project Blue Book, is a typical example of the number 1 group, those who debunk initially but find out there is more to the subject. Their consciousness prevails. They step out into the public view with their pro-UFO claims out of moral obligation. J Hynek was the scientist who, among many other claims, debunked in public TV broadcast one of the UFO cases as a swamp gas, an example still used to this day by some of the sillier debunkers. In later years, he admitted in an interview this case as the lowest moral point of his career. He was debunking using claims in this case, which he deliberately made up, dismissing honest witnesses, people who had life-changing experiences, who simply reported what they saw and were denied the most basic protection from the public ridicule. In the end, Allen became one of the most well-known UFO researchers, helping many people with his kindness. You can even spot him in the Steven Spielberg's Encounters of the Third Kind movie, in which he served in an advisory role. Group 2, scientists debunking from some kind of emotional, naive place, is quite large. An example would be a scientific author, Ridpath. His statements are on a level of scientific argumentation of a Middle Ages Catholic Church, something along a patronizing line such as, "We all see the sun orbiting Earth every day. We all observe it. You stupid, and don't dare to argue with us ever again." It seems, fortunately, this kind of naive debunking has been disappearing slowly for the last 20 years. Group 3. Young scientists afraid of killing their careers. For this, I have no concrete example. My claim is based on statements of Gary Nolan, Stanford immunologist, who talked about the subject, and I believe this is a common sense topic which hardly surprises anyone. Group 4. As an established scientist who gets into the subject almost by accident, is agnostic about it, but then becomes a pioneer of scientific UFO research. The best example of such an individual is John E Mack. The angle which he took on this matter was novel, brilliant, and unfortunately no one of his caliber is following in his footsteps. Harvard clinical psychiatrist, honest man, open-minded, and unconventional thinker, brought a consciousness aspect of a UFO phenomena on a level which no one has dared or was able to pursue after him. We need someone to further his research badly. Group 5. Scientists who betray their own beliefs and spread knowingly misinformation about the subject. The greatest example for me would be the popular Cornell University astrophysicist Carl Sagan, in case my suspicions about him are true. Some of his statements of the UFO subject were so silly that it is almost suspicious for a scientist of his caliber who was himself initially interested in UFOs and possessed high security clearance. He made some astonishingly simplistic statements on the subject which were not matching his scientific background. Dr. Greer, one of the veterans of the UFO research, claims that Carl Sagan was threatened by the US government if he revealed the UFO information he was read into. Finally, probably the most exciting of all, scientists working on secret projects in deep government covert operations. The most known example is Bob Lazar, whistleblower who made news around the world in the late 80s about his involvement in covert government program reverse engineering of extraterrestrial craft. These claims seemed so wild at the time, just like a lot of junk flying around the internet nowadays on the subject. A regular, reasonable person dismissed his claims because of this. However, I watched the man in interviews and documentaries, and he comes across as a genuine guy who probably worked on something of extraterrestrial origin. The reason why I believe the man is trustworthy is that his story has not changed a bit over the years, and there is no evidence he benefited in any way from his story. It seems he was, and possibly still is, subject of chicanery by the US government, if not worse. Also, his claims seem less crazy nowadays after the US Congress UFO hearings, where David Grusch, US Air Force whistleblower, claimed under oath that the US government is in possession of extraterrestrial craft, and these claims match statements of other, in my opinion, serious whistleblowers. I'm excited to see how the scientific community will develop on the matter of the UFO research in the coming years, with the sole foundation having potential to become broad, serious scientific platform for the UFO research having some heavyweight in its ranks. The US Congress, UFO hearings providing governmental backup, and networks being built on scientific, governmental and public levels. It seems that more serious research will be conducted under more standard conditions, and hopefully we will see more and more exciting breakthroughs coming out of this community of open-minded humans. Okay, that's all I have for you today. Subscribe, like, comment, and I will see you next time from somewhere with a cooler weather. This is SNOOZE.T. Peace be with you. Let's wake up.